everybody, and welcome to the search. My name is Lisa, and welcome. I hope everybody has had a fabulous time since I have seen you last. If you are new here, I want to welcome you. I do true crime, it involves a lot of unsolved and missing, but occasionally I do a variety of others. You can always look in my playlist, and I do have requests that you can write and say, hey, would you like to cover this case? Or this is something I'm interested in, and I definitely will look into it. So, with that being said, everybody, I hope after watching this or during watching this, you make sure to hit those subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you were thinking. Today's case is gonna ruffle some feathers, to say the least. Through my years, I do a lot of different awarenesses, and I have talked on this one. Right now, there is a gentleman that is being charged with second-degree murder on his 2-year-old child because she was left in a car for 3 hours and was found basically deceased. I say basically because they tried, but we're going to get into it. So that is what we're going to talk about today. So let's get into it. A little girl named Ericka Scholtes, who is 2 years old. Her father, Chris Scholtes, and her mother, Ericka Scholtes, lived in Marana, Arizona. Now, I am not too familiar with Arizona, but from where I looked at, it does look like it's in Pima County and also like a northwest of Tucson. So I think a lot more people are familiar with Tucson, Arizona. Now, I think we all, especially if you are in the United States, but if you are not in the United States, right now we are in scorching hot weather. Arizona, being a state that is in the desert, gets extremely hot. They refer to it like as soon as you open up an oven, like it hits you. Okay, you know how that is, right? But it doesn't end. So, like you're trying to stay in houses, even hikers, things like that, that try to continue their outdoor activity with waters are having heat strokes. Like there's warnings for the people not to work. It is that hot. I think you understand. On the day of July 9th, a regular day, Ericka, the wife, who is an anesthesiologist, is at her hospital, Banner University, and Chris, who takes care of the children, they have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 9-year-old. So they have a total of 3 children. So on the day of July 9th, this July 2024, Chris, the father, decides that he has to do some errands, grocery shopping. He's kind of like the homemaker, and she goes out and works, which understandably she's an anesthesiologist, and I'm sure that works well for their family. From looking at things in the past, seems to be a very happy family. A lot of vacations, they do a lot of things together. I'm sure life is kind of comfortable. On July 9th, he goes out and probably does his normal errands. As far as he went grocery shopping, he went out and picked up a few other things, and he says that he got home around 2. He pulls up at the house and he sees that Parker, the 2-year-old, is sleeping. He wants to unload the car and all the groceries, and he doesn't want to wake her up. All right, I think we've all, as parents, have kind of been put in that predicament. So he drives, by the way, a blue Honda Acura SUV, which with all these new cars, with this fancy stuff, I don't have a car like this. But basically, I guess that you can leave the car running for 30 minutes and the air conditioner stays on. So he was like, okay, I'm going to just unload the car and then get her out. I think some parents, a lot of the times, have run into this situation where, all right, leave the kid in the car seat real quick. I'm going to drag out these groceries, whether they keep the doors open, however it works. We're talking a matter of a minute or two. You're consistently walking back and forth to the car. And then at the end, you grab the child out and you've got everything in the house. I don't think anybody really frowns upon that, right? You're just doing what basically can work, especially if the child is sleeping, because you know what's going to happen if you wake the child up. and then try to get the groceries out because they're whining, they're thirsty, they're this, they're grabbing your leg. We get it. But that's not what we're talking about today, guys. No, it's a lot more deep. So he decides, okay, she's sleeping. I'm going to just leave the car running, get the groceries out, and get them up. So he goes inside. All right. He's saying that this is a little around after 2-ish. All right. He goes in, and the kids are coming home. The other two were not with him. All right. I want to make that clear. So they get home. He has already got the groceries up, and Dad's playing PlayStation. I'm not quite sure of why the kids, or if they did ask. Gotta remember, this is all fresh, so we don't know what the investigators know, but I will get into what they do know. So, apparently he's playing PlayStation. Remember, the child is in the air conditioner car sleeping. So I guess now that car is a babysitter, right? I don't know why after the plan of getting the groceries in turn to the PlayStation, but we're gonna find out why. Trust me, we're gonna be keeping up with this one. Anyway, time goes on. A little after 4, Ericka gets off work and gets home. When she gets home, she goes in the house as usual, and of course she sees the other kids. She's like, "Where's Parker?" 2-year-old, you kind of like, really, that's one's 5, one's 9. You really want to know, where's Parker? And so he gets up casually and looks, not like running around like, oh shit, He then's like, oh, is she still in the car? Because he's saying, like, he's acting as if he's only been home an hour-ish or a little over an hour. He walks to the car, not runs, walks to the car, and of course the mom follows suit, and they see Parker in the car. The mother is an anesthesiologist, remember, and so they get Parker right out, and they call 911, and Ericka starts CPR right away. She knows what she's doing, and she's doing full force, waiting till the ambulance gets there. The ambulance gets there right away. The mom follows the ambulance. They go back to where she works at Banner University. While she's driving, or either when she gets close there, X's are made. Being that she's an anesthesiologist, she knows what has happened. She knows what has happened. Meaning, that's what I'm saying, I don't know exactly while she was driving or when she got there. But the point is, she is texting him and saying to him, I have told you before about leaving them in the car. Why did you leave her in the car? I have told you about leaving the kids in the car. Apparently, this is not the first time that he has made a decision to do this. He, of course, is replying back, and he is very remorseful. What have I done? I have ruined our family. I have killed our baby. What have I done? So now the investigators are there. They have declared that Parker is deceased for obvious reasons. First of all, it's 109 degrees that day. The car, if it turned off even 30 minutes afterwards, she sat in the car, and I'm going to discuss to you the time difference. He claims that it was a little after 2. The mom got home at 4, so we're looking at least an hour and a half with her being in a car. Now, professionals looking at this case and just doing some research on just temperatures alone, because there's different statistics of, I think right now, the average of 44 children dying in cars a year. So if it was right now at about 111 degrees in the car, all right, after an hour and the car being turned off, after an hour, that would grow to 150 degrees. Anyway, they're at the house, like, looking, talking. They are like talking to the kids a little bit, just trying to figure out where did this go wrong? Why did this happen? Was it intentional? Like, what is going on? So they collect evidence of some things. They They talk about what happened. They make a report and do all that they're going to do. Of course, that night they're back home, and that was July 9th. Now, go a few days later. During this time, they have been doing their work. When I say they, I mean the investigators. They have been doing work. They have been talking to neighbors. They'd had a little talk with the kids, just kind of making small talk with the children and hearing what the children had said. Well, guess what? There was a neighbor's footage that actually seen him come home. And I believe it was around 12:48. 12:48, not 2, not 2ish. 12:48, and shortly after the children were home. So right there is already questioning his statement of what he says. So at 12:48 he gets home. She doesn't get home. I believe it showed right around 4:14. That means that the child stayed in the car from 12:48 with the air conditioner running for 30 minutes until after 4 o'clock. When I tell you that after an hour it's already reaching 150 degrees. It's July in Arizona in the desert. Apparently, also, the children had made comments that the father had been kind of known to leave them in the car. So this was a repeat pattern they're hearing. The father basically is like, you know what? I came in and I put the groceries up. I just started doing some things, and I picked up the PlayStation for time, and time just got, beside me. I heard the kids playing, and I just basically, it just allegedly saying this didn't register, and like he just didn't understand that the time went by so fast. But of course, he thought it was after 2 o'clock, not, before. Well, it's July 9th, 3 days later, he is arrested because of all the inconsistencies. And yeah, there's a child that is dead now because of your neglect. He is then charged with second degree murder and child abuse. He is going for bond. Ericka goes down there while they're doing this and setting the preliminary hearing, all the things that they do. She actually speaks on his behalf to the judge.
I'm just asking if you can allow him to come home to us so we can all start the grieving process so that he can bury our daughter with us this upcoming week and that we can go through this whole process together as a family. This was a big mistake, and I think that this doesn't represent him. And I just want the girls to see their father so that I don't have to tell them tonight that they're going to endure another loss.
He is then put on a $25,000 bond. Also, it is put into play that also part of the stipulation is that he can't go home for the funeral until August 1st to the preliminary hearing, but he also has to be supervised with any of the children. So he cannot be left alone. He cannot take the other kids down the road and, God forbid, leave them in the car and think that the car's the babysitter with an air conditioner, right? Okay. So today I'm recording this. It is July 30th. So I will be following up what happens after the hearing. So make sure that you do have your notifications on, that you are checking in, because this one is definitely one I'm going to be following. Now, couple things I want to talk about. If he is charged with the second degree, there is, I believe, about 3 different ways that can go under that, which basically the sentencing is like 10 to 25 years, meaning that those are still, no matter how it comes out, if you are found guilty of second degree, 10 to 25 is usually the recommended sentence. But if it is something that is kind of just reckless, didn't mean to really happen, but it happened, the case far as when they sentence can be lower, meaning I guess the lowest can be 10. But if it is looked at intentional, not premeditated, but intentional neglect would be higher. So that's how that means. It doesn't mean, okay, second degree, he's got 25 years. No, they could say, let's put in a plea, and that way we can get him out on at 10. Maybe could the wife, she writes in that text, she acknowledges that he has been known to leave the children in the car, but still leaves the children in his hand. Now, could something happen where it could be brought charges up on her? I would say possibly something. I am definitely not in the legal field. I have just done a lot of these different cases, and I think honestly that it would behoove the prosecutors to use her more as a witness than to worry about pulling her up on charges of anything, or holding her just accountable for knowing he wasn't responsible. A lot can play into this. They're probably going to allegedly see if there's any mental illness. There's things that they try to do. But guys, why I covered this case today, first of all, a car is not a babysitter. I don't care if this new technology, the car never shuts off. You do not leave your child in the car. And I think most of us know this, thank goodness. But apparently 44 children's parents did not know this, because that's how we've lost 44 of them. Some really wacky cases, and we know they were intentional. Now we get to, is this intentional? Was this a way that he wanted to do something but yet play it off? Why did he get his times wrong? Was he just so nervous and he was just covering himself? Or does it go back to time totally just slipped his mind when he started playing the PlayStation? I know that technically when I'm on a computer, time will go by so fast I won't even realize the time. I know that people play games hours from hours. So is that theory true, that when you get on a game that something can happen? Am I by any chance giving him the benefit of the doubt? No, I am not. I am very upset, and I feel what he did, in my own personal opinion, I think that he is all in his right mind, and I think that he wanted to just leave the child in there sleeping, and he was going to go ahead and have a little bit of free time. And maybe a little time did get enough, but not 3 hours. Not 3 hours. I don't know how he can explain it. I'm very anxious to see what all comes out. Guys, this is a brand new case. So we need this out there, because we need people to express how they feel. We need other stories out there. This is a way to spread awareness. This is for people that want to think that taking that chance of unloading their groceries. What happens if you're unloading the groceries and you get a phone call and there's an emergency on the line? Okay, or you have other children and they're in their room and they fall off the bed and they break their arm. So you've got to take 10 minutes to assess them, get on the phone. Guess what? That child that was supposed to just be in that car for 2 minutes or so, 1 minute extra, 2 minutes while you unload a car, is now sitting in there 15, 20 minutes. And like I told you here earlier, especially in the summertime, I mean, by an hour, it's at 150 degrees. So let's just cut that in half. If it starts off around 100 degrees that day, and it can get to 150, well, in 30 minutes, that means it gets to 125. That means because something else happened in the house, you didn't mean to do it. That wasn't your intentions, but due to lack of poor decision making, a 2-year-old Parker has now lost her life. Do you see how that works? Do you see how there's no excuse? And a lot of people do, but accidents and things happen. Now, this case is different. Hours go by playing the PlayStation, and they do have the PlayStation. The officers do have the PlayStation. So they're going to be looking into all of that. Like I said, he was out for the funeral and to deal with the children. How do I feel about that? All I can think of for the mom to make that decision is maybe just kind of in shock, kind of in denial, just trying to get through the motions until she can just say, you sorry son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's all alleged. It's hard for us unless we're in the shoes. Since I've heard, I have just prayed for this family in healing. We want to pass judgment, but we don't have that right. But we do have the right to discuss what his deal is. And then we'll go further when we have all the evidence. So today, guys, I want to let you know again, I gave that example of things that can happen. Do not leave your children in a car. Do not leave your pets in a car. I have done so much on this topic before. And when I seen this, I knew I had to get it out. So please, if you don't share anything, I've said this, share it. I choose cases based on my audience can learn something from it, that people can take something from it. It is not about all gossip. It is not about, sometimes it is not even the most entertaining, but it's the truth. It's what's happening, and it's how we save lives, and it's how we get justice. And that is why I've chose to do true crime, and that is why I've chose to use my platform. And so I ask you, please share this story, hit your notifications. For everybody that has subscribed and become a Such Warrior, thank you. At the end of every broadcast, I take a ribbon, and a ribbon equals a prayer for justice. So today our ribbon goes to Parker, forever 2 years old, and we are going to get her justice. And maybe we can implement some laws to prevent this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next search.